Hi, it's Dr. Dan here, and I'm going to talk today a little bit about subscription-based models. And so many of you may or may not be familiar with subscription-based models. For anybody who has to deal with software, many softwares used to be able to buy the software, be set, use the software, and then occasionally you would have to pay for an update and to keep things running, but other than that, the costs were fairly minimal. Software companies realized very quickly that caused dramatic decrease to the revenue possibilities because once the product was purchased, they were done. Yeah, they didn't. The consumer, the customer didn't need you anymore. And so with software as a service as opposed to a product, you pay a monthly subscription. I'll use an example. I have to pay an obscene amount of money every month to have access to my billing and electronic charting notes for my patients. And previously, you were allowed to pay a lump sum up front, and again, you would get occasional updates, and for a very small annual fee, so still a subscription, but a very small annual fee, you get the next update. But if the program was working correctly and everything was good, you didn't need to pay for any updates, which many people did. And so what happened was that, especially the company I'm using, realized this is not going to work. So they phased out any and all support for the old buy in advance program. And then, of course, there were updates to the insurance industry, the codes, et cetera, which required additional updates to the program. So they got you onto their subscription plan. And they make roughly double what they were making per year off of a clinic, and it's ongoing. Now, that same model exists in healthcare. Now, what am I talking about? Oh, I'm talking about prescription drugs, of course. If you have a condition, and specifically we'll talk about lifestyle-related conditions because that's the area that I'm able to help people with who are willing to accept our help. For lifestyle issues, basically type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, those neuropathy, those conditions in the medical world are treated pharmaceutically. So type 2 diabetes, obviously they'll start with metformin. High blood pressure, they'll give beta blockers, or old school doctors will still use some diuretics to keep the pressure down, or a combination of the two, depending on the person's situation. If they have neuropathy, then we just talk about pain pills, tramadol, they'll do gabapentin, sometimes Lyrica I've seen, maybe even Neurontin sometimes. The bottom line, though, is all of those are an ongoing subscription. Once you start taking them, you're taking them forever. And so that's a subscription-based model. And then what happens, what we see happen, is that over time, because of the actual problem, which is the lifestyle choice that's leading to the increased blood sugar, which is leading to the insulin resistance, which is leading to the type 2 diabetes, there are other issues which then require additional medications. So then they throw on the statins, or then they throw on, you name it. There's a scads of pills that people are given, too numerous to list, where basically by the time somebody's over 65 years old, they're at minimum on average 4 prescription medications that they have to take every day. And so when people balk or say to me, oh, I don't really want to do this or that in terms of a lifestyle change because I have to do it forever. The question isn't whether or not you're going to be doing something forever. The question is whether you're going to be doing something that is going to cause your health to trend in the right direction, which is up and progressively increase and remain stable, or you're going to use something which is going to, over time, allow your health to trend in a downward direction. And that's something that people don't really think about. They take for granted, oh, well, I'm taking the pill, I'm fine. My doctor tells me that my levels are okay. And that's the problem with managing through numbers as opposed to managing the patient as a whole and actually looking at the big picture and understanding that, hey, for one of the things that I've noticed, blood pressure. So increased blood pressure is not something that just happens. It's not like a mystery why it happens. There's certain lifestyle choices which occur. There are certain changes, chemical changes within the body which occur. Now, there are supplements which work very well to help regulate blood pressure. I can think of the supplement that we use for nitric oxide supplementation from Berkeley, an excellent product, so good, so much that we actually had one of our neuropathy patients come in who had uncontrolled blood pressure issues, and she was taking medication and still would go as high as 180, 180 over 120, and obviously that's a concern. She had already experienced a mini stroke, so she was concerned, as was her doctor, and rightfully so. She started taking the nitric oxide from our office and the supplement, and within 30 days, her blood pressure was under control. Now, she unfortunately still has to take the medication. However, she's in a situation now where it's controlled, and she is, to be fair, 96 years old, my oldest patient to date, and a joy to have. So she but is now in a situation where she's managed. If we had caught her 10 years earlier when she was only 86 years old, maybe we could have gotten her to the point where she didn't need blood pressure medication. We see that very often. Now, would she still have had to take the nitric oxide supplement? Yeah, sure, of course. But the side effects from taking a pill that's based off of beets, which is a naturally occurring product. I mean, I wouldn't eat the whole package at once, but you probably could, and it would just give you an upset stomach. It's not dangerous, and it's not gonna cause long-term issues. So the question is, where are you gonna be spending your subscription dollars? I would argue that, again, coming back to the increase in blood pressure is also a sign, more than likely, that you're seeing a gradual increase in insulin resistance. This is because of the effect that insulin resistance has on nitric oxide sensitivity. Of course, as we age, we produce less nitric oxide, and then with the decrease in sensitivity, and what I mean by that is basically your cells don't respond to it as well. So even if you had a sufficient amount of nitric oxide being produced in your body wouldn't be able to react to it because of the effects of the blood sugar. So bottom line, it all actually goes back to blood sugar. It's not related to a lack of lisinopril or another beta blocker or a diuretic. That's not what's causing the problem. It's simply choices that are causing that issue. And so, for whatever reason, in medicine, they don't want to have the discussions about, and I would agree, it's a hard discussion. About, hey, you've got to change how you're eating. You've got to make these changes. And so the bottom line is as a doctor, it's my job to challenge patients. And by challenge, I mean give them things to work towards or help them understand what they're facing so that they can change their behaviors. They can put up a good fight. If you're going into the game and you're losing, and you don't even know why you're losing the game, what are the chances that you're going to be able to pull out the win and be successful? That's a big fat zero. And so part of our work here at the office is about giving people the truth. And sometimes it's well, to be honest, it's not for everybody. Some people would rather be like, oh, I don't want to hear it. I want to pretend everything's okay. I'm just going to keep popping these pills, and my doctor says I'm fine. And of course, unfortunately, we know that not to be true, because that behavior is what leads to people getting pretty far down the road with neuropathy. And so by the time they get in here, they're experiencing, usually can't sleep very well, as the pain in the feet tends to get worse at night, or they have difficulty standing, or they're having difficulty walking. They're experiencing balance issues, falling, which causes other issues. All of that was because somebody didn't want to have a hard conversation about something. And so I'll thank my mom. She was always very direct, 100% German, so there wasn't really a lot of sweet talking in the house, so to speak. It was this is the way it is, and that's the way it goes, and which is fine, because it helps people to get in the game and understand the game that they're playing when it comes to their health. And I would say that there is no more important game in life than understanding the game of health. And that's what we want for our patients here is just to understand what's happening and be able to make a decision in terms of which direction they want to go. Do you want to rely on the pharmaceutical-based subscription program, or are you willing to be a little bit more natural and rely on supplements and exercise and eating choices to remain healthy? And again, the goal is to, of course, stay off as many prescription medications as possible. I would argue, and I'm sure I know the statistics support this, that the less prescription drugs you're on, the more likely you are to live longer and live healthier, again, assuming you're making healthy lifestyle choices. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Do hit like below. And of course, if you have any questions about the subscription-based model, either in medicine or in alternative healthcare or natural healthcare, I don't like the word alternative. It's not an alternative. It should be the primary mode, the first stop. But if you have questions about that, please let us know. You can email us or give us a call. That's all. Thanks and have a great day.